Right. Okay, well, for the sake of time and the utilization of it effectively, we'll go ahead and get started. One of the things that I would like to do is make sure that at the end of this, we have some time to go hit the restroom in the snack area if you'd like, but really more importantly, questions. If you have any, an opportunity maybe to dialogue a little bit, go back and forth, should you have any questions at the end. But let's begin with a word of prayer, and we'll get going. Heavenly Father, we are grateful and we are thankful for this day. We thank you for the opportunities that you give us each and every day. Throughout the course of this day, we'll have the opportunity to be able to listen to many people and the wisdom that they have to share. I pray that you would guide all of their talks and what it is that they share, that they would be listening to your Holy Spirit. And for all those that are hearing, that Lord, you would touch our hearts with those things that you want us to practice and put into place. Help us to be able to do that effectively as well. So we ask for your blessing over this day, both for the speakers and for the attenders. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. So communication. So if you're coming on in, go ahead. If you can find a seat, go for it. This is a talk that actually, this is one of the talks that we do at Classical School of Wichita for our new teachers as they're coming in, but is still a great refresher for teachers who have been teaching for years. So the first thing I like to start with is remembering the role of the teacher. It is so important that as a teacher, we take a step back and we remember that when a parent looks at the school, their child comes home at the end of the day and their child gets in the car, and depending on the age range and whether it's a boy or a girl, of course, if it's a 7th grade boy, how was your day? Right, but as you get a little younger, the boys are a little more talkative and talk about the great things that happened in their day. And wouldn't it be great? Like, imagine the picture in our head. Wouldn't it be great if at the end of the day, that young gentleman or the young lady who hops in the car talks about some things that happened over the course of the day that we did as teachers that were just so exciting, right? And of course, that's what we all hope. And the reason why I share that is really because of this, because we are the face of our schools. I mean, sure, the admissions director, and the head of school definitely had an opportunity to meet these new families as they were coming into the school. But really, at the end of the day, the parents are interacting with us as teachers. Their children are interacting with us as teachers. And so, when it comes down to it, we are the face of the school. We set the culture of our school from the classroom out. Now, I know that we can back that up and that we could look at our school's mission and our vision, which then, of course, from the board level directs our administrators, which then the administrators direct us as teachers in the classroom to fulfill that mission and the vision. So I know that it goes that way. But at the end of the day, if we are ineffective in the process of communication, what happens is the school for our grade level, in my case, 6th grade, what happens is, and we all know that this happens, the talk occurs, one parent to another. Well, 5th grade, I'll tell you what, things are rocking and rolling. That teacher sent me emails, and I knew exactly what was going on. I got to 6th grade. Like, what? There's a 6th grade teacher? Right? And so what happens is that communication then goes from one parent to another, to another, to another. And now the 6th grade, speaking to myself, right? The 6th grade culture at Classical School of Wichita is, 5th grade, you're going to hear it. And then all of a sudden, watch out, mom and dad, or watch out, my friend, who's your kid's going from 5th grade to 6th grade. You're not going to hear one word from the teacher all year. You better get your kid ready now. They better get their stuff together, right? Now, I'm not saying that's what happens. I'm saying that's the communication that happens outside of our school, from parent to parent at a Starbucks coffee or wherever it is, or a local Bible study, or when one parent's talking to another parent whose kids even go to a completely different school. As they're talking about, even the worst, the one that really hurts is the one where, there's the friend whose child is enrolled in the local public school, and that teacher's emailing those parents, twice a day, and this, that, and the other, and we're lucky to get maybe one email off a week, right, with all the busyness and the things that we've got going on. And so she's talking about that, and the other parents are like, I hear from my teacher sometimes. That's the last time I heard from my teacher. Anyway, right? And so, those conversations happen. And so that's really what I wanted to just point out, is that we have to remember that the culture of our school is set by us. We're the face. And so really the question is, what direction do we want our school culture to go? And like I said, again, it comes from administration down. So we understand that. But at the end of the day, it's in our laps to make sure that we do what our administrators are asking us to do, one. And then two, it reflects on us as a person. How many of you feel that you pour yourself into your classroom and your grade level is yours? How many of you feel that way? Like like for instance, 6th grade, that's me. That is Kevin Thames, and Kevin Thames is pouring himself into these kids, and I want people to know, obviously, I'm in CSW, but at the end of the day, it's my name that is attributed to 6th grade. Do you feel that? Do you feel that? I only saw one hand. I mean, do you guys feel that? Do you feel that is your, I mean, it doesn't have to be totally interactive. But you get the point that I'm saying, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. 6th grade, Kevin Thames, and then the other teachers that work with me. And so that ownership is in there, right? How do you want to be known through your community? We just talked about that. How do you want to be known through the community, right? And so for me and my community, this is, when I sit down and think about it, as a teacher and the ownership of the 6th grade class, what do I want to be known as? Well, I want to be known as that teacher who loves children, right? I want to be known. I want to be that teacher who loves their child, cares about their child, and at the end of the day, or the beginning of the day, when they drop their child off in morning carpool, they are fully confident that Kevin Thames has their kid. And I am glad that my kid is with Kevin all day long, because at the end of the day, somewhere, some way, Kevin's got some qualities that I want my child to have whenever my child grows up. Right? Because, like it or not, that's the influence we have on these children. And the parents are trusting us, right, in loco parentis, to follow this through for them, right? It's ultimately their responsibility, to train and educate their child, but they've chosen us to do it, right? And so there's that ownership that goes in. So at the end of the day, do I want to hear, well, when somebody says 6th grade at CSW, and if there's some word after that that's negative, I don't know if you felt that knife. Ever in your educational career, right? I know I felt it at times. Whenever somebody says something, all of a sudden you get real defensive. Like, whoa, let me talk about that real quick. You might have heard that. Was that third hand? Anyway, and we'll talk about that too. So are we communicating in a manner that is an image of our Savior? Or are we communicating when we communicate to parents? Are we communicating how we feel? And that really comes back to that concept of whenever we get feedback, maybe it's an email from a parent, and we'll talk more about email and what that looks like. But am I, with that agape, unconditional love, coming in every single day and showing, His mercies are new every morning. One, remembering that those kids who messed up yesterday, or the child who did whatever, and I had to correct them, had a conversation with mom and dad, comes in the next day. And of course we remember, we keep that, this child did this, so if it happens again, then of course we need to take it to another level and really have another conversation with mom and dad. I'm not saying forget that. What I am saying is that child is new, fresh. Am I communicating that to those children when they come in? Or when they come in that day, is that yesterday wasn't so great, so I'm hoping today is going to be better, right? You want to start your day that way, right? Who wants that? No, not me, right? Because imagine your administrator saying that, hey, listen, yesterday you really blew it, so today I want to see something better from you. Yeah, that would not set our days, right? Okay, so what does that mean as far as the relationship that we have with our parents? So what I like to do is kind of go this route of preventative in regards to being on the front of everything versus the corrective side, right? And when a problem happens, then you have to deal with it. No, let's see if we can avoid the problems before they occur, and then increase the communication so that really what you're doing is solving problems before they become a problem. So first off, very beginning of the school year, and I know we're in March, okay? So just think this, going into next school year, right? Going into next school year, right off the bat, those parents are coming in for your back-to-school orientation, or they're coming in for whatever that is. This is your chance to be able to meet the kids, meet the parents, however your schools do it. And you're there at the door as they're coming in, and if you can really do this, this is a really good touch. If you can get the yearbook, or if you just have that kind of a school where you know the kids that are coming up to you, see if you can get their names ahead of time. Right? Look at the yearbook, get the pictures, try to get the names. I've even had some teachers send out a little postcard about 3 weeks before the school year begins, from the teacher to the student, saying, I'm so excited about this school year. I'm looking forward to getting to know you better, things like that. Kind of generic, but with a little bit of a soft touch to it. And the kids get it, and, oh, look what I got from my teacher. So there's already an excitement that the child has coming to you. The child knows that you care enough to send a letter, right? I work on my cursive, try to get that going. If you have horrible penmanship, type it, it's okay. We'll figure this out. Anyway, but as they come in, if they say, so what brought you to your school, right? Say, well, you know what? The Lord brought me here. I'm called to do this. And I absolutely love your child. I love your child. I love children, right? They want to see that from you. And you don't have to literally say, I am called to this school and I love children, kind of rote, right? But at the end of the day, they want to see in your mannerisms. They want to see with the smile on your face, the postcard that you might or might not have been able to send, but at least that moment when the child walks down the hall, recognize the picture from the yearbook. Oh, hey, Joseph, how are you doing today? As the kid comes on inside and, oh, the teacher knew my name, And I mean, those little moments, those things right at the beginning, what that does, those are like coins in the bank, the savings account, as it were. Because what's going to happen is, and we all know it, the honeymoon period, 3 weeks into the school year, is over. All of a sudden, little Joseph's coming out of his shell. He's no longer enamored with his teacher. He's got you down. He knows your policies. He knows your procedures. And now he's ready to branch out a little bit. And you know what's going to happen. It's going to be that ultimate, I got to call you down, and now I need to have a conversation with mom and dad. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in this position. I know that I have, from the perspective of whenever you have to go and talk to a friend, right? We all have friends. If not, come see me. Anyway, so we'll go hang out, all right, at lunchtime today. We got this. But we all have friends, all right? Now, when you go, and of course, Proverbs, right, that faithful are the words of a friend, right? Your friend is willing to listen to just about anything you have to say whenever it comes to some sort of an exhortation, even a rebuke, right? I mean, those are what friends do for each other. Hey, listen, I notice you're going this route right now. I just want to encourage you. How can I help you, right? Those people listen to us because they're our friends. So now let's take it. Let's try it with a perfect stranger. You know what? I saw you did this, whatever this is, whatever this. I noticed that, and I just want to encourage you. Let's try not to do that again, right? I mean, that person's going to look like you're crazy, okay? Now, again, there's a certain level between from that to the relationship that we have, right, between the parent and between the student. They're expecting you at some point to contact them and let them know if there's some kind of problem. And again, there's that relationship. But if you can start it off with this, right, and they know you love that child, well, then at the end of the day, you're already on the same page, which means that you've established this friendship, right, with the parent. You've established this relationship with the parent that, they're a lot more likely to listen without getting what we do when somebody talks to us immediately, defensive, right? And then it's really hard to talk to a parent because then, from the perspective of those of us in here that have children, when somebody talks about our child, I don't know about you, but the first thing I think is, how did I contribute to that, right? And now it's not about my child, actually, this teacher or this person is talking about characteristics that I'm struggling with because it's actually a reflection of me and my child. And then I take ownership, I get defensive, right? And really, we're talking about a choice my kid made, right? And so we have to remember that. So if you can start off by another coin in the bank, send an email of praise about that child somewhere within the first couple of weeks of school. I mean, I get the fact that it's busy. You're getting into your routine. You're trying to figure it out. What you could do is over the summer, you could start some of those emails because some of those kids you might already know. You want to put something authentic in it. So usually you're going to have a couple weeks in the school year to find something, look for something, try to make a note, something for each kid, something that actually is specific to that child, because then what that does sends, again, that message. I noticed this, and I noticed this about your child. And the parent's going to know. Oh, because the great thing about that is that, again, right, reflection of the parent to the child, chances are that if that child, and you notice something great about that kid, you also kind of gave a little shot in the arm to the parent too, right? Like, yeah, actually, we spent $3,000 on that program for my child to really encourage this particular behavior. And I'm so glad to know that it paid off, or whatever it may be, right? If you can send some kind of praise in the first couple weeks, that would be helpful to building that relationship. Whatever you do, in this portion, please don't tack on some sort of a correction in that email, right? So that email is specifically intended for, your kid's great, I noticed this, and I just want to encourage you as a parent. I'm able to see this, and you're doing a great job at home. And, something like that just helps them to see you care, you noticed. And again, it doesn't even have to be words like, I am so proud of your child because they did this. There's something to be said for the fact that just using the words, I noticed that, right? I mean, which that was kind of a new concept for me. Somebody had shared with me a couple of years ago was, you don't have to sit there and rack your brain, because I know that sometimes we think there's one or two kids and you're looking like, I can't find that thing. Of course, it makes us feel horrible as people, right? I can't find that thing for this kid, and I don't know how to identify it. And what, I'm just going to watch. Okay. Before class, depending if you're a 6th grader, right? Before class, that kid, he goes to his locker before every single period and checks it. Okay, you know what? That's organization. And I noticed that, right? So it's not that the kid went in and encourages his classmates, because maybe the child doesn't do that. I don't know, right? So you try to find something. And again, I noticed that is even just as good. So once you do that, then that makes that corrective conversation, again, now you're pulling from the savings account, right? Now you're pulling from the relationship bank. Because then at this point, what's happening is you're going to that parent, and that parent comes in and they're ready to listen. Versus first communication right off the bat, the very first thing you're going to do is, hey, your child is struggling with this. And we'll talk about the parent conference and how to be able to do that, and do the sandwich method as far as the good, then the meat, and then the bread after, speaking of bread. But anyway, so when it comes to communication, in general, when you're talking about the class as a whole, so we're good with the parent, we'll talk about parent communication in a little bit from the individual standpoint, but now we're going to talk about you sending out some kind of a newsletter. So the question is, to newsletter or not to newsletter, right? So how many of you do some kind of a weekly newsletter? All right, some of you kind of do those weekly. Okay, gotcha. Now, depending on your grade level, one of the things we did at classical school was we looked to see who sends out a newsletter, and do we have kind of a trajectory? Because by the time you get to 7th grade at CSW, there is no communication from a newsletter perspective. So at that point, the students are expected to, if they do keep a planner, right? You don't have a homeroom teacher checking it. I mean, this is literally jumping. You're in the deep water at that point, right? So you've either got some kind of an organizational method down, or mom and dad are scrambling to figure it out. Hopefully we get it through 6th grade, and that's part of what my job is as a 6th grade teacher. But the trajectory for 6th grade is, by the time they get there to my group, we actually don't send out the newsletters now, because we're looking at this trajectory of, right? Kindergarten. All right, we got newsletters going out once a week. 1st grade, newsletters going out once a week. 2nd grade, newsletters going out once a week. Might skip a week or two, right? 3rd grade, we got newsletters going out twice a month. There we go, that's a better way to do it. Twice a month. All right, and by the time we get to 4th grade, now we're down to maybe 1 newsletter a month. And we get to 5th grade, and we're just sending out communication pieces that might be more semester-ish, or really more along the lines of, here is this event, it's coming up, and by the way, here are some other pieces of information. So it becomes more sporadic, and it's expected. So the teachers will communicate that at the orientations, right? They'll share at the beginning of the year. At this grade level, we don't send a newsletter every single week. At this point, we're relying on. And so then it's the next question. So what do we rely on? So what winds up happening is, those are great transitions. There we go. All right. So what we're relying on is the planner. Now you put an example of one of our 3rd grade teachers' newsletters, just so you can see. And if you want, because I'm all about sharing material, if you want at the end of this, you want that I'll give it to you in the editable form. I'm a Mac user though, so we'll figure it out, right? But if you want that, so you can totally take it and go ahead, just let me know. I'll get you that. It's just good to have something to go off of, especially if you don't have anything to begin with. But this kind of gives you an idea what the newsletters look like. So here we've got just the weekly materials, what's going on. Specifically, hey, we're vocabulary lesson 6 this week, and then upcoming events for the week. This is where you're going to put your homework, your tests, homeworks that are bigger assignments, your projects and whatnot. And so, that gives you an idea. And again, that's 3rd grade right there. So you kind of have an idea what that looks like. But before we get to corrective conversations, so when it comes to newsletters, right? So we get to that point, and like I said, in 5th and 6th grade, where we're not really using the newsletters anymore. What we rely on is a planner. Now, this planner starts becoming a part of the child's regular life in 1st grade. And the teachers will sit down, and we have a carbon copy of the planner, but in a big poster form. Some teachers will use the blue painter's tape and take a whiteboard and do it that way. It's similar to that, but it's already just pre-printed and laminated. And so what they'll do is the teachers will just write in the material, and then in the morning, the students will come in, and depending on the teacher, depends on the time. Sometimes it's in the afternoon. There's a 15-minute time frame where the teachers, again, in 1st grade, need a little more time to do it. The kids are writing the information down, and as they're doing it, the teacher's going around and checking it and just putting their initials on it and things like that to show, yes, you got it, that was good. Sending it home. Mom and dad know that that's another piece of communication. And that way, if something changes from the newsletter, you've got a daily something to look at every single day as a parent for those who are looking. And of course, we all know that there's the parents who don't look at all, right? So, but the parents who are looking, but that is their thing and that's their jam, and they can rock with that. By the time you get to 5th grade, that becomes even more crucial, right? Because now there's pretty much no newsletter. Right? But at 5th grade, we're really working on the organizational skill. So again, 5th grade teachers are still doing the same thing. The students are filling out their planner, history, this. And again, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And if you want a copy of that, I'll send that to you as well, if you want to see what the planner looks like. But you've got the different days, you've got all the different subjects, and it's done by week. And so the teachers go through, and then at the end of the day, or beginning of the day, it just depends. Some teachers have all their assignments already pre-written up on the board, right, for the day. I'm not that person. I'm the person who, this is the lesson plan, but something could completely change because I'm teaching math, and the kids might not understand a lick of what I tried to teach them today. And so if I actually publish that thing, it would be wrong, and it would be completely useless. So I'm going to write it at the end of the lesson. So halfway through the day, we're actually filling this board out in 6th grade. So at the end of the day, we set aside that 10 minutes so that the kids can write it down. And then one teacher, homeroom teacher, whoever it is at that moment, because I actually share 6th grade with 2 other teachers. And so we just pick the person, hey, you got it this week, great. And go through, again, just a quick initial to show that we're doing that, right? That's what they do in 5th grade. We do that for the first semester of 6th grade. And then after that, the teacher stops signing it. Now, one other benefit to the communication piece of that system is this. So the next day what will happen is, because the teachers are checking it, right? In the lower grades, it's a homeroom teacher, self-contained classrooms. So that teacher knows, here's the math homework. The child didn't finish the math homework. So what we do is the teacher takes a highlighter for that particular child, highlights the assignment. Now, parent orientation, throughout the course of the year, the parents are aware of this, right? But parent orientation, they know that if they go and they look at their child's planner and they see a highlight, that means it wasn't turned in because their child didn't complete it. So what did we just save? We just saved an email, right? We just saved some communication, right? That you'd have to sit there and remember, oh, this person forgot their homework. I got to email their parents and let them know, If you do that, you saved also the corrective piece, which is that 3 weeks down the road, whenever that parent gets on RenWeb or whatever program, they see a 0 for that math assignment. What happened, right? And now you got to go and explain all of that. Well, the planner, what that does is, with that highlight, the parent takes it, looks at it. Now, again, we have the parents that aren't going to look at it, so that happens too. And that's where the teacher has the opportunity to track with the child. Now, if the next day the kid comes in, doesn't have anything done, and there's nothing written from the parent on the planner, which we have a little box at the bottom of the planner. There's nothing written by the parent down there, then you know that the child probably didn't show it to the parent didn't check the planner, in which case, then you're looking at communicating. But here's the deal. The upfront work pays off in the end. You might send a couple emails at the beginning of the school year, but then the rest of that school year, you're going to have a system down, and those parents will know. Now, the next question, what about your repeat offender? So we have the parents sign the planners once a week. Some parents check it every day, but we have the parents sign the planner once a week. So let's say it was a crazy week, because we all have those. All right, you get to the end of the week, you totally forgot to email that parent. So what happened is the parent has to sign it on Friday anyway before the kid brings it back in on Monday. Parent signs it on Friday but sees that on Monday there was a missing assignment. That gets that communication piece again. And we tell the parent, still, on top of that, isn't that even better than finding out 3 weeks later whenever you finally decide to check RenWeb and see a 0 in there. So we've got these little kind of checks and balances that help us out just in case those things happen. Yes?
Are you saying that at your school that they all use the same kind of planner, like K through 6?
Yes.
So every parent is familiar and
you got it.
Just different levels, so first grade would copy and sixth grade would fill it in by themselves?
That's exactly right. And of course, we so the format is the same, subject titles change. And so, for instance, we have for a kindergartner, they're not going to have the IEW or they're not going to have the program, section, right?
Right.
And so what'll happen is we divide it out. Your kinder first, second planner is set up. So it's got the subjects for kinder first, second. A lot of them are repeating subjects, but so just some things are just left blank. Then you got another one for third through sixth grade that has those subjects, right? Because then at that point we're taking out phonics, we're taking out other subjects like that because by the time you're in third, right? So, and then the parents know, and it's the same format, same color, same everything, and the parents are just trained. So over the course of the years from kindergarten up, and really they really hit it in first. Kindergarten is really newsletter based and just the communication piece with kindergarten teachers, who, by the way, have a special place in heaven. So anyway, I'm just saying, I subbed in kindergarten a couple times this year and in years past, but this year specifically, I was like, wow, God love them, Anyway, so kindergarten teachers, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for helping those kids be able to read, to be able to learn, as opposed to me getting them still trying to learn to read, right? Anyway, so hopefully that helped. But so then as far as that goes, again, you're looking at so many things. Preventative communication, the corrective communication's a lot sooner. And again, you can live your life knowing that at some point, somebody's going to catch something and we're going to figure it out. And there's still that partnership. You're not losing any clout with the parent because you're doing what you're doing on your end. And they realize, ooh, you know what? Remember, the responsibility, education of the child is on the parent. If they want to check that planner every single day, hey, you do it. You're providing that service. If they realize after going a week that, oh no, my kid missed 4 assignments this week, what does that tell? Oh, it's the teacher's fault. Wrong. Hey, mom and dad, guess what? Here is a tool. Let me show you how to use it a little bit better. You know what? With your child, just for the next 2 weeks, why don't you sign the planner every single day? Right? And as I'm going around, I'll check to see the signature was there. And that way we're helping each other. I'm partnering with you. So it puts the onus back on the parent with their child at home, and it's not the teacher's fault. Right? Does that make sense? And that's what we like, right? Because it's not our responsibility to raise the children, but we are partnering with the parent as they're doing that. Right? And that perspective is so helpful to remember, especially when we want to take ownership. Because we want to do that. It's us, remember? Oh, my name is going out there. You don't have to solve all of a child's problems in 1 year. Let me encourage you with that statement. All right, you get a kid who's really struggling with organization, it is not your responsibility to solve those problems in your grade level. Guess what? That kid's probably going to struggle with that same organizational problem for the next however many years, and you can also encourage the parents. I am so glad you're trying to help your child with this, but let's remember these organizational problems probably means he's got skills or she's got skills in some other area right now that you're not seeing because you're too busy focusing on that. Use that one in the parent conference whenever you're having the good positive part. You're actually taking the negative part and turning it into positive. What does this child have, right? So the parent conference, the very first thing you want to do, because we don't know if it's a parent conference that's set up by the school, then that means it was scheduled. All right, great. Not a problem. If it's a parent conference that came up because the parent is frustrated about something, those are the ones where it's like, oh, okay, what am I getting when they're on their way in, right? This is where the relationship is so key. Because if they're coming in, they're already coming in. Again, you got money in that parent relationship savings account, so they're coming in already with this idea that you have their child's best interest at heart. So whatever this is must be some kind of a miscommunication because that teacher loves my kid and I like that teacher. All right? As opposed to, that teacher's got it out for my kid, and I'm going to go in and we're going to get down the bottom of this thing, right? And of course, I've been on the tail end of both of those. I like the other one better where there's the savings account to pull from. But let's say you have that parent who comes in irate, angry, and you can just tell that they've been holding on to something all weekend and they just decided to hold on to it and ruin their own Sunday service because that's what they wanted to do on Sunday and then come in on Monday hot and bothered. All right, not a problem. Great. You know what, parent? Here's we're gonna pray. Let's start with a word of prayer. Now, when you start with that word of prayer, you can get all Baptisty on them if you want and make it good, long. Not the kind we do before lunch, but the kind we do when we're trying to... No, I was kidding. You get the picture, though, right? So just, you're sitting there and you're just actually formulating in the prayer a little bit of a reminder of what your role is and what the parent's role is from the perspective of, Lord, guide us, right? Dear Heavenly Father, during this time right now, we just ask that you would give us wisdom and clarity in the way to be able to train up this child in the way they should go. God, I thank you for this parent. I thank you for the opportunity to work with this parent this year, and I love their child. God, it is such a blessing to have their child in this school and in my classroom. And on top of that, Lord, I just ask that you would give both of us the wisdom to know how to be able to work through some of the struggles the child's experiencing right now. Lord, touch mom and dad, touch their heart with wisdom and discernment. And Lord, help me to be able to better partner with them for the goals that they have set for their child. All right, you just sermoned to that parent the prayer. Now, okay, if I just crossed something for somebody, I'm just saying I do it. And what happens is, at the end of that prayer, that parent, okay, right? 90% of the time it works, okay? With the non-Christians, it doesn't. But I don't think too many of us deal with that on a regular basis. That's mostly from my traditional Christian school days as opposed to classical Christian school days. So, start off with prayer. Lead with an actual, true, positive statement about the child. I wanted to put the words actual and true in there, right? Don't try to make up something because you're in a pinch and you're trying to come up. The parent will read right through it and they'll know that my child doesn't do that, right? And again, this could be one of those I noticed that statements, which again, you can notice anything, right? And that'll help you, especially if you're struggling with the, what do I say about this child? The one that was probably most pivotal for me in a conversation with a parent was really the realization that I had these parents who came in and they wanted to visit with me about their child. Highly disorganized, and quite frankly, lying. Lots of lying from this child. And again, is this kind of overlooked, doesn't pay attention to details. So we were meeting because we had a lot of things that we were just going to discuss and go over, right? And so we start the meeting. I start off with a word of prayer, and the parents, they just start railing on their kid. They are just, it's like the opposite pendulum swing. The one where it's like, we need your help, Mr. Thames. Our kid is da 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 da. And I'm starting to get this picture like, okay, this is that kind of a meeting, right? It's not the one that's over here where it's, they're asking you to do stuff that you just can't do because you're a teacher and you have a life and you have all these other children that you're trying to, minister to as well. This was the one where it was just, they were venting on their kid. Okay. And again, we as parents, we have those moments where our kids frustrated us so much and we just need to get some stuff off our chest. They were using me that time. And so I listened. Again, you just let them get it out. Just, verbal vomit. I just let them do it, right? Hold the bucket. Come on. Is there anything else? And so there they are. They're just pouring it out. And finally got this moment. And through that, they're doing this. I'm listening to half of what they say because, whatever. What I'm really doing is I'm saying, Lord, give me something. What do I say to these people? I came in ready to talk about math grades and concepts that are struggling in math and in Bible. If we could just memorize our verses for test day, that would be great. And, I'm ready for that stuff, right? I'm not ready for this emotional, And so I'm like, hey, God, what do I need to tell these people? What do I need to share with them that's going to help them to be able to see their child in a different light? Because they are so frustrated with him. So as I'm sitting there, I'm kind of praying this in my head as they're talking to me. And then all of a sudden it clicks. All right, this kid is disorganized. He's not looking at he misses all the details. And so I said, you know what? After they finish, I said, have you ever thought that your child actually has some really good big ideas? And I paused and waited after that statement. And the dad, Well, he likes to da-da-da-da-da, and he starts going into a couple examples of some big project things that his son has started getting into. Again, struggle with the details, but started getting into, right? But it was a good idea. And I said, okay. I said, have you ever thought about business owners and heads of school and people in visionary leadership? What do? Are they the people that are feet on the ground doing the details? Or are they the ones that came up with a really great idea to solve a really big problem? All right? The Lord gave me that. That was not me. It was the Holy Spirit speaking right to my mouth. I'm like, what's happening right now? It's just coming out. Anyway, but what happened was that I got to lead with that, right? Completely changed the meeting. Then at that point, here's what I got. Wow, you really love our kid. Yes. Thank you. That's the place I want to be in. Now let's talk about these math concepts, right? So anyway, then sandwich the corrective communication between the positive, if it's one of those meetings where got that. So again, here I am talking about the math concepts. Here I am talking about, hey, if you guys could help me out at home, what does the home environment look like when the child gets home? Is it just playtime? I mean, make sure the kid gets some time to be able to play for sure. How much time is he spending on his homework? What can we do, right? And we kind of go through that and then end with another positive comment. At the end of that, I reminded them again. I used the same comment actually this time. I reminded them again. I said, listen, guys, and this was the statement. Do you think you can solve every one of your child's problems in 6th grade? Paused, of course. Rhetorical question. Right? Like, oh, yeah. I said, okay, do you think I can solve all of your child's problems? No, okay, great. So we're all on the same page here. I said, do you think your child's going to struggle with this for probably the rest of their lives in regards to these detailed things? And to some degree, coping mechanisms, I get it. We figure it out in life. This is what we do. I said, so when are you going to stop trying to beat this out of your child? And when are we going to focus on the positives? Now, that doesn't mean that at the end of the day, he doesn't need to be organized or, that. But that was what I was trying to end with. So when they left the meeting, not only did we get a positive solution to the problem I was experiencing in the classroom, but mom and dad got behind their kid and realized, I'm partnering with them. I love their kid, right? Perfect picture. And it ended well. Right, go to the end of it, prayed. What did I pray? I prayed this prayer for their kid, right? A prayer that they prayed right along with me because now they saw the vision for what their child is going to become someday, right? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but are you getting goosebumps when you think about your role with these children? I mean, I get the fact that we're in the classroom every single day, but when it comes down to it, I mean, think about the life you get to put into these parents, a breathing life into a situation when all around us, all around the world, we've got these people breathing death constantly, talking about the negative. You know what? Let's take this opportunity and instead of focusing on the issues your child has, let's focus on the positives and make those positives better. And along the way, you may find that this kid is going to feel good about himself, see these good things he's doing, and then want to correct those things on his own because he's actually got margin in his mind to think about those as opposed to constantly being berated and once again, I didn't do this, and I'm losing my allowance this week because I forgot to do that, right? Okay, and then I want to make sure that we have some time to be able to discuss. So, email. Emotion. Have any of you ever received an email where you read it right after you were upset about something, and then reread it again, maybe 2 hours later or 3 days later, and it sounded completely different? Mm-hmm. Okay, right? So the thing that I love about email, real quick communication, you can just bullet off a couple things. The thing I hate about email is you don't know what just happened to mom and dad, right? Right before they got in the car to go wherever and had this big explosive something or other, and next thing you know, they're reading your email on top of all this other stuff that happened to them. And somewhere in that, they're picking up something that you said and they're offended. Or, the one that goes back our direction, mom and dad probably, I identified this problem with my kid. You know what, I'm going to email the teacher. And you're sitting there and you're reading it and you're thinking they're attacking you, right? Because we're reading emotion into it. So one of the things that I do whenever I get an email, especially in a situation where you know that it could be inflammatory, okay? You know the parent. Sometimes there are parents out there that, kind of refer to them as hotheads, right? They're the one that they react first, think later, right? The very first reaction is, bah! And then after that, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry for the words I said. And you're like, yeah, it didn't hurt. I'm good. Sacrifice that, put that at the foot of the cross. Come on, Lord, get this off of me. So be careful which emotions you add and leave out of your email when you're responding, but just as equally, go through the email and go with a pen. So print it off, right? And go with a pen and just start scratching stuff out. Yeah, nope. And scratch out anything that's emotionally driven and just circle the parts where there's actually something you could do something about. Hone in on those and then ask yourself the question. And this is the difficult one. Based off of those few things, can I respond back to the parent in an email and just address those, whatever those things are? Or really at this point, is it just better to give the parent a call? Now here's the deal. You know your parents, right? You've got an idea. You know going into this year, after however many weeks or months you've had with these kids, you kind of have an idea. This is the parent I can just send an email to. Or this is a parent that if I send that email, they're going to stew all weekend and then I'm going to have a parent meeting anyway on Monday, so let's go ahead and get that over with, right? Maybe the Friday afternoon phone call that all of us dread because we want to go out and hang out and relax or just lock yourself in your bedroom with a book. Or just go to sleep. Anyway, so be careful which emails or which emotions you add. If you can't concisely say it in an email, so I don't know about you, but there have been times whenever I've typed up these emails, 3 paragraphs long, and I'm just like, that parent's going to get 4 sentences in, and then the eyelids are going to roll back in their head. No, anyway. No, I mean, they're not going to. What am I trying to say? Every word is so important, right? 4 paragraphs. Every word is so important. The parent needs, well, if every word is that important, set up a meeting. Make a phone call. You send that thing in an email, it's going to get lost in translation. All your important words that you slaved over for hours typing this email that's perfectly crafted for every single tiny little nuance this child has, perfectly fitted for the parents because you know how they're thinking. They're not gonna get it. Not one bit of what it is you're trying to say. So ask yourself, based off of the relationship, this is better just to make a quick call. Is this a parent? You know the parents. Is this a parent that can handle it for the weekend and we just meet on Monday? If you can avoid the meeting, do it, please. I'm saying it right now. If you can avoid the meeting, go ahead, make the call. But if you need the meeting, do the meeting. All right, this is my favorite. Now I haven't turned off the notifications on my phone. I'm not saying that you should turn the notifications on or off, whatever. It's up to you. So right here. Respond tonight, wait till the morning. I'm not going to make a call on that. What I am going to encourage you to do is this. If you're the type who is like me, where when you get an email and you know you can solve it real quick just with a couple of words, I'm the kind who, okay, there's my phone, I'm laying in bed. Now it doesn't make a noise, but this really bright light comes on, right? Boom, the ceiling is illuminated. I feel like something, and I look and oh, there's an email, and so I kind of look at it. Oh, it's parent. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. What are they doing at 2 o'clock in the morning? Send me an email. Of course, don't respond to a parent at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm saying that. Do as I say, not as I do. So of course, I respond right back real quick. A one-liner, deal with the problem. It's all taken care of. And then what happens? Thank you so much for responding to my email at 2 o'clock in the morning. What were you doing? I was responding to your email. Next time, maybe save that one for the next day or whatever. It makes for great conversation. Now, I'm not saying you should do that. Actually, I'm saying wait. It's okay. Wait. So your schools probably have a 24-hour policy. If a parent emails you, respond within 24 hours of the email. But I've actually been able to avert potential disasters by answering those, whether it's, a hot topic or not. But in no way, again, so I've said it twice, I'm going to say it one more time, in no way am I proponing that you answer emails at 2 a.m. in the morning, right? But you also know that there are times when if you don't, then what's going to happen is that parent is going to be at your head of school's door the very next day, hot-headed and angry, right? Now, of course, he has the opportunity to correct that parent. Right? Matthew 18, parent, make sure that you go to the teacher first. I did at 2 a.m. in the morning. I don't think so. Go visit with the teacher, calm down, and we'll have a conversation. If you need me to be there with your teacher, I'll be there with your teacher to mediate so that you don't blow up all over my teacher. Right? So hope your administrators respond in like manner. All right. So it happens everywhere. Hunted down in the grocery store is my favorite right there. There you are in the tight-knit communities that we live in, and mom and dad see you. Oh, hey, Kevin, you know what? You got that trip coming up. Real quick, I think your email said, my email did say that. Go ahead, reference it as many times as you want. See ya. No, anyway, not really. But you know that it happens. So, just again, the communication piece that you have, the more detailed you can be in pieces of communication, the better. I don't necessarily give parents, I don't respond to parents in Facebook, Messenger, or anything like that. I do, however, give parents texts. But I will say, to be honest, that over the course of my fifth year at CSW, I can still count on two hands the number of emails that I've had to respond back to parents who have specifically emailed me something.